we have councillor ministers. Councillor ministers are also lawmakers, but they become more as executive rather than lawmakers. So office of profit has not been defined in law. We have law, but it does not define office of profit. And someone holds that office, that person will be disqualified. That's why it remains controversial. The High Court of Delhi quashed the decision of the government, which was taken, basically president, which was taken on the basis of advice of Election Commission of India. So, Article 102 and 191, if you read out those articles, so they say that members of parliament should not be disqualified merely because they hold office of profit. If they hold office of profit, so that may result into disqualification. So they should avoid holding any office of profit. This means office of profit is a ground for disqualification. Then Parliament brought a law to prevent this disqualification. That is called Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Act, which is also known as Office of Profit Law. The another name of that law is Office of Profit Law. Why Office of Profit should be avoided? So basically, they are members. When they hold any such office of profit, means that office will be created by the government. Since it is created by the government, so that office belongs to executive. And there is separation of power between legislature and executive. So lawmakers, they are legislators, they are lawmakers, and they should not hold executive positions. So when they will hold any such position which is created by executive as office of profit, it will affect separation of power. There is separation between executive and legislature, even if they belong to the ruling party. Like say ki after we have councillor ministers. Councillor ministers are also lawmakers, but they become more as executive rather than lawmaker. Those who are not councillor ministers, and if they are also given executive positions, so then it affects separation of power. And they will not be able to act as lawmaker independently. And that independence will be affected, means there can be conflict of interest. And because of that, to avoid conflict of interest, protect separation of power, and help them being independent as a lawmaker, they should not hold office of profit. Then the question comes that what is office of profit? So office of profit has not been defined in law. We have law, but it does not define office of profit. Like we have law related to leader of opposition, but it does not define what is leader of opposition. Who is leader of opposition? It is not properly defined in that Allowance Act or Parliament Facilities Act. Similarly, we have office of profit, but it does not define what is office of profit. What they do generally is that when they create any such office, they mention in law that it is not office of profit. So merely mentioning in that law that it is not office of profit, if any lawmaker holds that position, that lawmaker will not be disqualified. So merely you mention in that law, that is a Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Act. In that you mention that this office is not office of profit, and then someone holds that office, so then that person will not be disqualified. But suppose you forget to mention in that law that this is office of profit, and someone holds that office, that person will be disqualified. That's why it remains controversial. It remains time to time in news because those who hold office of profit, So they are disqualified. The matter goes to also judiciary. This is how all this happens. The last time it happened was related to 21-22 MLAs of Delhi. They were disqualified on the ground the first tenure of Aam Aadmi Party. During that tenure, 21 MLAs were disqualified because they were holding office of profit. Later on, the High Court of Delhi quashed the decision of the government, which was taken, basically president, which was taken on the basis of advice of Election Commission of India. But by the time High Court quashed the decision of president, already the house had been dissolved. And next election was just to be held. So even the decision could not save those MLAs. Before that, last time it happened with Sonia Gandhi and Jaya Bachchan. That is how the controversy, you should know that. Otherwise, since it remains at times in news, that's why you should know, otherwise it is not needed. So what happens that Jaya Bachchan, you know that in case of Jaya Bachchan, she was chairperson of Uttar Pradesh Film Development Council. She was chairperson of Uttar Pradesh Film Development Council, and that time she was member of Rajya Sabha from Samajwadi Party. It's supported by Samajwadi Party. Since there is a bit of, let's say, that conflict between Gandhi family and Bachchan family, so somehow, let's say that Congress, that was the Congress government, somehow they may have found that Jaya Bachchan was holding office of profit. So she was disqualified. She has to resign as Rajya Sabha member, and then again she has to resign as Rajya Sabha member, and then again she became Rajya Sabha member. How she again became member? How this could disqualify? So basically, Uttar Pradesh government forget to mention in its Office of Profit Law, Uttar Pradesh Film Development Council, that it was not Office of Profit. Since it was not mentioned in the law that it was not Office of Profit, she has to be disqualified. Interestingly, if you take other states, they have also Film Development Council, and fortunately they mention in their Office of Profit Law. But at times government forgets. At times government forgets to mention it. So Madhya Pradesh also had Madhya Pradesh Film Development Council, and it was mentioned that it was not Office of Profit. Right. Next, interesting. Then someone found Sonia Gandhi was also holding Office of Profit. Yes. Sonia Gandhi was also holding Office of Profit. She was head of National Advisory Council. National Advisory Council was created by the government. And they also forgot to mention in Office of Profit Law that it was not Office of Profit. Then she had to resign. So Sonia Gandhi resigned. Now, interestingly, she got re-elected from the same constituency. Meanwhile, they amended the Office of Profit Law, and they mention in Office of Profit Law that National Advisory Council was not Office of Profit. And they introduced Office of Profit Amendment Bill to Parliament, and President was APJ Abdul Kalam. He returned the bill. आदत है प्रेसिडेंट को, मतलब कलाम साहब को आदत था बच्चों को वोट दिलवाना, 5 पॉइंट बोलो. So he returned the bill. by saying that such bills should not be passed in haste. They should be passed with comprehensive manner. President was criticized. Be in limit. President cannot tell how parliament should make law. This is how media writes. This bill was again passed with no change. Suspensive veto. In recent times, the only bill which was, let's say, that is sent back and let's say again passed with no change. Now the law does not say when president should give sanction. This is how it is silent in our country. This, the president was not giving sanction to office of profit bill. Meanwhile, election happened. Sonia Gandhi got re-elected and law is still not amended. So किसी मीटिंग में बोला होगा मनमोहन सिंह ने, कलाम साहब क्या कर रहे हो यार, साइन कर दो. Anyhow, it is said that informally he was influenced. Then he gave signature to office of profit bill. This is how office of profit is in news because of these controversies. It means कि what is office of profit, nobody knows. But there are all controversies around that. So what should be done? So it should be properly defined. This. And there is a, let's see, good practice in UK. In UK, when they create any institution, they mention while creating that institution itself that whether it is an office of profit. Hence, they do not forget. In our country, first we create institutions, then उसके बाद सोचते हैं कि देखा जाएगा. Isn't it? So then let's say कि thereafter when matters come, then we take decision. So that is how it is, we can consider. Third aspect is that you see, office of profit should not be avoided only in letter but also in spirit. At a state level, office of profit is a serious problem. Why? There is a culture of appointing MLAs as parliamentary secretaries. This parliamentary secretaries, as per, let's say, R.K. Arora, as per High Court's judgment, they come under Council of Ministers. There is also constitutional amendment according to which the strength of Council of Ministers should not be more than 15% of the strength of the House. But there are states like, say, Nagaland. All MLAs were made parliamentary secretaries. Means those who were part of Council of Ministers, the rest MLAs were made parliamentary secretary. Similarly, let's see, in Delhi, 21 MLAs were made parliamentary secretaries. This parliamentary secretaries are nothing but their accommodation, you know that. It is an act of accommodation to make MLAs happy. And therefore, they are given some honorary posts. Those honorary designation, honorary posts they are given, even if they do not derive, let's say, remuneration, but according to High Court judgment, Maharashtra, West Bengal judgment, it amounts to breach of that 15% criteria. And it, let's say, that also amounts to office of profit. Hence, they have also given judgment that these things should be avoided. But let's say that the practices continue. The broader aspect is that, the broader aspect of debate is that members of parliament should avoid any conflict of interest. It should not be only linked to called office of profit. They should not have any external obligation. That external obligation will affect their independent functioning in parliament. Even becoming, let's say that, a member of BCCI or holding any other position. Because when you hold any position in that organization and you are a lawmaker, then your law making behavior will be affected. This, like say we have National Sports Development Bill 2014. National Sports Development Bill is to regulate all the sports institutions, but it has not been passed so far because of lobby of BCCI. It does not want to be regulated. Those who are, let's say, holding all those offices in cricket associations, they will in parliament as a member will not support that bill. Conflict of interest. Right. In UK and US, they have the practices that each lawmaker has to give details of her external obligations, her external associations, right? In which organization you are associated, in which capacity, so that they can at least understand your behavior inside organization. It helps in understanding their behavior inside organization. Right? If you are supporting, let's say, particular type of law which may favor a particular type of organization, so they can understand by your behavior because you are associated with that particular organization. They do not bar them that you cannot participate in voting, etc., but they want transparency in behavior. Right? But we are still far from such kind of practice. This is how I should know. More than that, we don't need to talk. So let's just write on this. Yes, because since any office which has been created and it has not been mentioned that it is not office of profit, that's why it becomes office of profit. What is office of profit? So it is not defined. Yes. Yes, Supreme Court defined in 1964 about what is office of profit. And that is the basis to, let's say, decide office of profit. But again, it is a judicial definition. Right? It is a judicial definition which judiciary can take into consideration. But it is the duty of the lawmakers to define office of profit. But they do not define office of profit. So how we take this office of profit? If any office has been created by the government, and that office you hold, like say UP Field Development Council, it is created by UP State Legislature. This, so it is created by government, and it is not mentioned in the law. It is office of profit. So basically, we are following procedure rather than substance. Means we are trying to follow law, not spirit. That's why Kalam told that the office of profit should be clearly defined, comprehensively defined. But so far it has not happened. This, whether as far as ethics in politics is concerned, so let's say that we will not go into that aspect. Because it is more practice you are talking, in practice you are talking, we are talking more in theory. It is in theory. This, in spirit, they should themselves avoid any external obligation. But हमारे देश में कल्चर क्या है? ऑनरेरी मेंबर बना दिया जाता है आपको. आप इतने इंस्टीट्यूशन के ऑनरेरी मेंबर है कि आपको खुद ही नहीं पता है कि आप कितने इंस्टीट्यूशन का ऑनरेरी मेंबर है. यस. फिर ये दूसरे लेवल का डिबेट आएगा कि फिर अगर आप चाहते हो कि उनका कोई एक्सटर्नल एसोसिएशन ना हो तो आप उनको रेम्युनरेशन ज्यादा पे करो. Yes, you have to pay more remuneration to them. That is how it happens in Western countries. They are paid remuneration so that they can live their life in a decent way and they don't need to depend on other source of income. Hence, they can say that you dissociate yourself as long as you are a lawmaker. But in our country, we cannot say like that. No, it is not they are paid. How much they are paid, by the way? आपको क्या लगता है 1.5 उनका अच्छा है पेमेंट? नो नो, योर थिंकिंग शुड चेंज. एक जो कल का बच्चा है, सॉरी टू से दैट, जो बीटेक किया है, राइट, उसका पैकेज 1.5 से शुरू होता है. न तो उसका कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, न तो कोई लेट्स से दैट की फैमिली बर्डन है. सारा पैसा कनॉट प्लेस में जाता है. मतलब और भी जगह है, बट लेट्स टेक दैट. राइट. सो उसको समझ में नहीं आता कि पैसा खर्च कैसे करना है. नहीं, इतने यंग एज में इतना ज्यादा पैसा मिल गया, विथ नो एनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. Anyhow, 1.5 lakh is not, let's say that, तो penny है उनके लिए. You have to see their office, their role, right? He's a minister. He should have one office. He should have some staff. He should have at least one research member, one research, let's say that, person as a staff who should do research for him as a think tank. This at least one typist should be there. Means one person who, let's say, knows about computer and other things. The basic minimum requirement for any lawmaker to function, to perform his role effectively. Yes. If you talk in that way, their salary should be not 1.5 lakh. It should be 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, more than that. This. Or they should get facilities like this. अभी क्या है, आप बंगलो देते हो. बंगलो क्यों दे रहे हो आप वहां भी 5 स्टोरी बनवा दो चाणक्यपुरी में. राइट, फ्लैट सिस्टम कर दो. दिस इसलिए कि अभी वो क्या है कि एंजॉय करने के लिए दे रहे हो आप. नहीं होता है कि मिल गया है लेट्स एंड यू आर एंजॉयिंग इट. सो यू आर गेटिंग फैसिलिटीज बट नॉट लेट्स से प्रोफेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स. उनके कंट्रीज में बंगलोज नहीं मिलता है, फ्लैट मिलता है. फ्लैट मिला है उसी में रहो. सो दिस इज हाउ इट इज. आप बंगलो दे रहे हो तो उसका कितना खर्च होगा, सिर्फ मेंटेनेंस. दिस. सो दैट इज व्हाट लेट्स से डिबेट वी कैन कंसीडर. Anyhow, so this is what we can consider. That's why one day I told you about budget aspect. This. But these things will come only when you think about parliamentary system to work. Members of parliament have their own grievances. Grievances or problems are always two types: supply side and demand side. Right? So you should always think from both perspectives, not from one perspective. So they have their own grievances. We see only, let's say, from outside what the problems, let's say, what they lack. Right? We do not see that what, let's say, they are not provided. This. But these things are not at all talk in our country. ये सब तो हमारे यहाँ इस talk भी में नहीं. इसलिए कि politics is bad.